Hello and welcome back to MPS Talks. My name is Matthew Joseph and I am the Director for Digital Learning and Innovation here in Milford Public Schools. Before coming to Milford, I served as a building principal for 11 years in 2 different districts. I also recently completed my doctoral degree from Boston College in educational leadership. And today, I wanted to share some of my thoughts on visibility for educational leaders. That was part of my dissertation study, and I thought it would be helpful to share those thoughts because the role of school administrator in public education is evolving from a building manager into an instructional leader. We're shaping instructional curriculum and supervising teachers, and those are just 2 of many roles of an instructional leader, and 2 I want to share today. So, after reading some of the studies that Edgar wrote, or Palindra, or Reeves, I felt and still feel educational leadership consists of assisting teachers and assisting teachers in learning through situational environments, helping them with their educational needs of a school, also guiding teachers and educators to align learning experiences with the stated objectives. Learning activities need to be aligned with the chosen objectives to optimize student achievement. Leaders also monitor instruction relentlessly and develop a clear and well-defined curriculum, while ensuring quality instruction, while modeling best practices, and while monitoring the implementation of curriculum. All this while providing resources and examining assessment data. Wow, that is a lot for our instructional leaders of today. How are we doing this? How are we going to continue to do that? Well, my answer is through visibility and our leaders having a pulse of the building. I think there are 3 strategies leaders can utilize to gain this knowledge of the school. These strategies are observations, they are classroom walkthroughs, and collaborative observations with a team of educators. I will start with the old school formal lesson observation. This consists of once or twice a year an observation with a pre-conference with an educator, a classroom observation, and a post-lesson meeting to talk about what was seen and feedback. Current research suggests that observing an educator once or twice a year is not a model that's going to support long-lasting learning and growth, but it will help our educational leaders start to gather information about instructional practices. Now, on the other hand, informal observations will allow you to stop into classrooms or learning environments more frequently and talk with students about their learning. Informal observations can also be called classroom walkthroughs. A classroom walkthrough is a brief classroom visit that occurs frequently, and school leaders can observe firsthand the instruction and the learning that's occurring in the classroom. These visits are brief and they are focused, but reflection areas can be identified. Leaders can gather information about the curriculum and instruction and then can frame follow-up conversations with the educator. One of my personal favorite methods is management by wandering around. This method of leadership was actually a strategy incorporated by Hewlett-Packard in the early stages of the company. Peters and Waterman wrote in an article that they stated the 3 fundamental values to management by wandering around apply to schools, and they are caring, openness, and trust. I think visibility is critical. However, visibility alone will do little to improving a school's productivity unless it's coupled with well-focused visit and follow-through. So if you are using the management by wandering around strategy, ensure you are focused and capturing visible evidence of what you saw. And maybe when you go back to your office or walking around, you can keep a journal of your walks. Also vary the time of your walks and locations to include morning pickup or afternoon drop-off, lunch times, team meetings, and other non-instructional settings. Next, I want to talk about collaborative journeys that school leaders can organize. The 2 that I'll focus on today will be learning walks and instructional rounds. A learning walk is conducted by a group of the current school-based educators working with the building administrator. Before this team walks around, they'll identify a focus to observe during the walks, which in the classrooms they can see and then take back some information. These visits should be around, say, 5 to 10 minutes in each classroom, and visit multiple classrooms through multiple grade levels. The group should split up into multiple small groups to gather as much information as possible. After the walks, in post-meeting, the team members share observations and provide evidence collected to support what they saw. All this in order to support the growth of the educators. In a short period of time, educators can gather this evidence and collaborate to support the full school improvement. Another collaborative journey is called an instructional round. This method of observation is similar to a learning walk. However, the focus of an instructional round is firmly on the instructional core and the relationship between the teacher, the student, and the content. I read a lot of Elizabeth City's work in my dissertation, and I would recommend reading more from her about instructional rounds. But some of the things that she talked about is that instructional rounds starts with a meeting, and the team identifies a problem in practice. This is a key component in identification of the problem that you'll be looking at while you do your rounds. Then the team will observe identified classrooms to gather information directly linked to the work of the teaching and the learning. After the rounds, the team will meet and debrief the observations as it relates to the problem in practice, and then the school leader can use that information to share with the school for, again, improvement of the entire school. So for school leaders to have knowledge of instructional practice to deliver growth-providing feedback, he or she will need multiple methods of ways to collect observations and collect data in the school. The method we described today will help leaders understand practice and have an understanding of the building. Speaking of feedback, and maybe that can be a focus of an upcoming episode, I will leave you with a few things about characteristics of effective feedback. And they include, make sure your feedback is focused. Feedback should focus on what was observed. It should always be evidence-based. Feedback should be grounded in the evidence of the practice that you observed. It should also be constructive. Feedback should reinforce effective practice and identify areas for continued growth. And lastly, it must be timely. Feedback should be provided shortly after an observation or after a walk to support the growth of either an individual educator or the school as a whole working towards your school improvement plan. So thank you for tuning in today. Hope some of these strategies will help you out. Make sure to tune in to some of our past episodes and follow me on Twitter at Milford_Tech. Have a great day.